Europe may have agreed the principles of another huge bailout for Greece, but you wouldn't know it from the state of the market or the costs of insuring against a Greek default. There's now a widening chasm between the action, or rather inaction, of the European Union, which is basing the stability of the euro on a plan that pours more money into an already indebted nation, and a growing number of politicians, analysts and market players who think sooner or later the wheels are going to fall off. Here's Michael Yander.
A path which is much better than the alternative path of defaulting.
Despite a very public vote of confidence in the austerity plans from Greek politicians, the Greek people remain angry and financial markets nervous. Share markets in the euro slid on growing scepticism that Greece will ever be able to keep its end of the bargain, a painful austerity program which will take years to see through. Financial risk analyst Satyajit Das says giving additional bailout funds to Greece is throwing good money after bad and delaying the inevitable.
The problem is Greece has far too much debt to pay back, and what will actually happen is effectively they have to wipe out a large chunk of the debt. In other words, they have to default.
Morgan Stanley's global strategist Jared Minak just got back from Europe yesterday. He says investors aren't expecting more than a temporary reprieve, even if the austerity package is passed.
Most investors I met realise there's a sort of Damocles hanging over their head. The sovereign debt could blow up at any stage, but I think the average investor is hoping that the politicians delay the inevitable for at least 6 or 12 months.
European banks are under pressure to make a deal and roll over some of their loans to Greece. But Jared Minak says they would effectively be wasting their money.
As a country, it seems to be insolvent. And look, ultimately there is a limit to how far you can push a populace. And that's true in Greece. It's also true in Ireland. And I think both countries are quite likely to default on a 12-month view.
Amid growing calls from economists and the financial press for an orderly restructure of Greece's debt, the European Central Bank has been one of the staunchest critics of allowing any form of default. Mr. Das says that's because it holds at least 130 billion euros in Greek sovereign debt, but only has about 5 or 10 billion in capital to cover any losses.
The ECB might need a bailout if Greece actually fails, and that would be highly embarrassing for the European Central Bank.
It looks set to be a baptism of fire for the new head of the ECB, Italian Central Bank Governor Mario Draghi. And Jared Minak sees no easy way out of a global debt crisis decades in the making.
Policymakers throughout the Western world have made a mistake. They let the bubble develop in the first place. And now we have, really in every major developed country, including Australia, debt at historic levels. And when you're this levered, there's simply no easy options.
The danger is the bulk of the developed world is turning Japanese and set for a decade of stagnation.